On Monday night, Uri Slafkovsky played his best preseason game with the Montreal Canadiens. After the game, he warned members of the media, though, it may have been my best game, but it's still very far off from what I can do. He finished the night with an assist on a goal by Jonathan Drouin and 4 shots on goal. We'll talk about some of the flashes that he showed us in that game as well. As much as Justin Barron played very good in Ottawa on Saturday night, on Monday, he may have dropped the ball. The big question is, did Arbor Jacki pick it up and run with it? And a young Montreal Canadiens prospect who has shown very well so far at camp has earned himself a 3-year entry-level contract. We'll discuss all that and more on the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinero. Today's guest, Grant McCagg, former Montreal Canadiens scout, now with Recruits.ca, his own independent scouting agency. He's coming up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinero. The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Sports entertainment like no other. Brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature, and Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you.
Marinero, the Sick Podcast, and today joining me, Grant McCagg of Recruits.ca. How you doing, bud?
Hey, great, Tony.
All right, brought to you by 8.6 Intense by Nature, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark. And Lacage, if the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you get back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you. I don't know if Uri Slafkovsky's performance versus the Toronto Maple Leafs in Monday's exhibition game, a 5-1 loss by the Canadiens, should be considered a surprise, considering he's the first pick overall. But there were some people who already were ready to throw in the towel on him or to say, you know what, send them to Laval. But he wants to prove some people wrong. Grant, yesterday, his best outing of the preseason. Now, I want to let everyone know that this is being recorded on Tuesday, October 4th. It's close to 3 p.m. And we already know that Uri Slafkovsky will play later Tuesday night versus the Ottawa Senators on a line with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. But we won't be able to talk about that because we're taping Tuesday at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, so what did you think of his performance versus Toronto?
Yeah, that's what I expected the first 2 games, I think. But I mean, you have to realize that there's going to be a initiation, getting used to the NHL pace. Maybe I think what happened the first 2 games was that he, if you look back at the his first rookie game, he admittedly tried to do too much, and I think he was trying to be careful and make sure that he wasn't making mistakes and maybe was thinking too much instead of just playing his game. And I'm pretty sure Marty and the coaching staff had to sit down with him and said, look, just go out there and play your game. You have the physical skills to make a difference out there. Just less thinking, more reacting. And it looked like it last night that he was just playing. And his physical skills are such that he's going to make an impact when he's just playing his game. And that's what he did last night.
Grant, up until Monday night, and maybe even part of Monday night, critics will say that Slafkovsky looks slow. So let me ask you a question, and I'll give you a couple of potential answers, and you tell me which one it is. Slafkovsky is A, slow, B, carrying too much weight, C, looks slow because the pace of the National Hockey League is fast, D, all of the above.
I'll go with E. I don't think he looks slow.
All right. There's an answer that perfect. Let's throw an E. So you don't think how about the weight that he put on and the fact that he's 238? Has he, without saying he's slow, has he lost a step, carrying more weight?
Did he look slow in the rookie tournament, Tony?
No, but he was playing versus rookies.
Right, but he was the fastest player on the ice. You know.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of him adjusting to the NHL pace. He's like, I don't think he looks slow, to be honest with you. I mean, he hasn't been the fastest player on the ice, but his speed has been fine. I think it's more just a case of him. He's got to adjust to playing, at the NHL pace. Like he tried to do things. He's almost like he's skating differently. His strides have been a little different because he's trying too hard to skate faster, and his mechanics have been screwed up a bit. I think it truly is just a matter of adjusting. I mean, he didn't look slow at the Olympics. He didn't look slow at the World Championships. He didn't look slow at rookie camp. So, 2 exhibition games where he didn't look fast doesn't mean that he's slow. And I don't think that's not something to worry about whatsoever.
I got it. Listen, I asked the question because the difference between the Olympics and the World Championships, of course, is that he's now 238. That's number one. And the difference between the rookie camp is that he is playing in NHL exhibition games. All right, okay. The goal.
You keep bringing that up every time, Tony, about his weight. Like he didn't at 238 in the rookie camp. He didn't look slow.
Got it.
So I think it's just adjusting to the NHL pace is all it is. And I mean, we saw an improvement last night with it. And I think playing with Suzuki and Caulfield, he's not going to look slow tonight. I really don't think so.
Don't get me wrong. I endorsed the pick, and I love them on Monday night versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes. Even though he wasn't able to get that goal that so many people are waiting for. Matt Murray makes a save, and he says after the game and starts laughing, what can I say? The goalies are good in this league, but we really got a glimpse of who he is, right, on the goal that he set up for Jonathan Drouin. I mean, he went by a guy like he wasn't even there. I mean, that's the guy the Canadians drafted first overall.
Absolutely. He's got the puck skills. He's got the moves. His puck protection skills, I think we started to see it. And it was mentioned on the broadcast a couple of times on TSN that, we saw how good he can be protecting the puck. And even at this stage, even if he's not one of the faster players in the league, I think he will be. His size, strength, and puck protection skills are already so good that if he's playing with confidence, he can make an impact, even if he's not, as fast as he's going to be in his prime.
All right, okay. So now he'll play with Suzuki and Caulfield versus the Ottawa Senators on Tuesday night, and it's the coach's way of saying, you know what, you showed me something. I'm going to reward you. Now I'm going to play you with the 2 best players that you've played with so far in camp. Let's see what you can do. We're not there yet, but let's say he passes this audition. Would you see him playing with those guys in game 1 of the season? Or
absolutely. I've been saying it since before he was drafted. I think the plan all along was to play him with him regardless of how he looked at the first. Well, obviously the injury to Suzuki changed things, or I think he'd already played with them. Marty was asked about it today, why is he playing with those 2? And he says, first pick in the draft. So Wright's been getting to play with the best players in Seattle. You give high draft picks full opportunity to show why they were picked high, and I think that's the natural move to make. I think it'll buoy his confidence a lot, and I think you're going to have a really strong game from him today.
Hey, since you brought him up, what are your impressions of Shane Wright thus far in preseason with the Seattle Kraken?
I've got to see 2 or 3 games, and it's tough playing center as an 18-year-old in the NHL, and he's finding that out. He's been about 25% in the faceoff circle, so he's having trouble winning draws. Defensively, he's having some struggles. Last night, I think he turned the puck over maybe 8 or 9 times. They only had him down for 2 giveaways, but I'm not sure who was doing the stats there. They certainly weren't paying close attention because he kept coughing up the puck last night. I think he'll probably get an 8 or 9 game look at the start of the year, and if he's still playing like he was last night, I think he gets sent back to Kingston.
All right. In Slafkovsky's case, once again, this is prior to the game versus the Ottawa Senators, where he's going to play on a line with Suzuki and Caulfield. But you've been saying all along his place is with Suzuki and Caulfield. So I guess that's definitely Montreal Canadiens for you, because, of course, there was talk of Laval in the media that we've heard over the last week or so, less so after Monday night's game. But for you, it's without a doubt, it's Montreal?
Well, if he struggles in the remaining few games, maybe he goes down to Laval. But I'm pretty sure that in his case, the first overall picks, I don't think there's ever been one that started the year in the AHL. I know it's a little different story for European guys that you can actually do that with, but I just don't see it, first of all, for the psyche even, You're the first overall pick, you want to please, and to get, that kick in the teeth right off the bat, I think would not be good for his confidence. I see it just from that standpoint alone, that they're going to give him a look at the start of the year regardless. And I mean, you can always do the 9-game thing with him too, right? If he's not performing, send him down. But I think that he's not hurting the team. He hasn't hurt the team defensively, like away from the puck. He's not been hurting the team. So if he's not hurting the team, he's the first overall pick. The fans want it. The management wants it. He wants it. So I don't see him being anywhere else but Montreal.
All right, let's take a look on defense now. I thought that prior to Saturday's game in Ottawa, Justin Barron had dropped the ball. I thought in Ottawa he was exceptional with a goal and an assist, and he was +3. But on Monday night versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, I thought he dropped the ball again. My question to you is, was Jack Guy good enough to pick it up and run with it? Because he, too, got dipsy-doodled by William Nylander at one point. That was the bad. The good was, on another occasion, it looked like Nylander was intimidated by him and just left the puck for him. And on another occasion, he handed the hardware to Michael Bunting. So we saw, the good and the bad from Jack Guy. Is it good enough to dislodge Barron?
Well, I don't know that Jack Guy's going to play on the right side. So I'm not sure that they're really battling for a spot per se. I think it's more, is Harris going to beat out Barron for the third right spot? Because I think that's probably the guy they're most comfortable with playing on the right side between Jack Guy and Harris. Mm-hmm. Jack Guy hasn't played a lot on the right, and Harris has. And I think he's looked pretty comfortable. So I think they're going to start the season with 3 rookies. If Edmondson's not back, I'm pretty sure. I mean, no one's been better than Gooley, Jack Guy, and Harris among, other than the Weidman, Savard, and Matheson, right? They're the 3.
So as of today, you see Barron starting in Laval?
Absolutely, yeah. Even the Ottawa game, he had points, but still in his own zone. He's had struggles all camp. He's making errors. He's not covering his man well. He's turning over the puck when he's pressured, and he's only played 135 games the last 3 years, and I think that's showing. He's got to go down to Laval, play 80 games, 20 minutes a night, learn the pro game, get the reps, and hopefully he'll be fine for camp next year.
I know you loved Owen Beck the second they drafted him. Earlier today, they announced that he signed a 3-year NHL entry-level contract. He told members of the media that he's going to take the year off from school to concentrate on hockey. We know how great he is in academics as well. What did you see from him at the OHL level to tell you that this guy was going to be a very, very solid player at camp and will be a solid player going forward?
All-around game. He doesn't do anything poorly. He's highly intelligent. One of the best skaters from the draft class. The best face-off man. Very good defensively. has a great shot. There's not a lot of holes. There's no holes in his game, really. I was on with Steve Lloyd there earlier today on TSN 1200 Ottawa, and he reminds me a lot of Shane Pinto, another young player that Ottawa's bringing up that's a centerman. Very similar type player, and I just don't. I think he's a third line center all day on a contender, and from what we saw at camp, I think he's got second line center upside for sure.
When does he become a Montreal Canadian?
Maybe next year. If he goes back and has the breakout offensive campaign that I think his coach is expecting and he's expecting, goes to the World Juniors, plays well there. Maybe has a good. Mississauga's got a pretty good team, so maybe a good long playoff run. I think he could come back to camp next year and maybe win a spot.
Grant, he's impressed people so much that some believe that he's got a spot on the team right away. But, you don't want to skip steps in your development. And one scout once told me that 1 year more in junior will not hurt your development, but 1 year too soon in the National Hockey League will. It's not like they don't have time on their hands with these kids, right? I mean, let's face it. Based on what we're seeing, the Canadians are going to compete, but they're not going to be a playoff team in 2022, 2023, unless there's some kind of miracle. They have time with these kids.
Absolutely. And I think there's not a need right now. Like Monahan looked good last night. Dvorak's, been pretty decent in camp. Suzuki, Evans, and Doc, they don't need him to play center. They've got 5 very capable centers to start the season. So you don't want him playing on the wing either. I mean, he's such a great face-off man that I think you want to keep developing his center skills. And the best place for him is to go back to junior. I mean, he had 50 points last year, right? So I think you want him to ideally get the offensive confidence at the junior level where, if you hope that he has second line upside, I think you want him to produce at the junior level before you give him an NHL spot.
You want him to get 75 plus points. You want him to go to the World Juniors, and you want him to be an effective player there. That's what you want for him over the next 6 months.
Absolutely. I think he could. His coach told me that he wouldn't be surprised if he's a 100-point man this year.
Wow.
We'll see. I mean, if he goes to the World Juniors, he'll miss 10 games, and that's almost 2 points a game. So, but I'm expecting him to hit 75 plus, maybe 40 goals.
All right. Okay. So in ending, you just talked about 5 capable centermen. So my question to you is, which one of the 5 will be playing the wing on opening night?
That's a good question.
I'm all about good questions, Grant.
Yeah, Tony, just amazing. Amazing question.
Hair and bluish green eyes. Thank you very much.
He probably Evans. He's played a fair bit of wing with the Canadians in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the wing to start the season. On
a line with Doc and maybe come in and take some of the face-offs?
That's exactly. Yeah, I think they want another centerman playing with Doc, I would imagine.
Then again, getting better at face-offs, you're going to have to take them at some point. But anyway, we'll see.
That's right. But I mean, own zone draws, you want them to get better, but you don't want to lose those draws, right? The coach is always, he'll be going with the guy. The guy will be taking the face off that he thinks has the best chance to win it.
Grant, fun as always. That's why we keep calling you back. Thanks so much. Subscribe to Grant's scouting service. It's recruits.ca. He has talked to pretty much all of the Montreal Canadiens young players, the prospects, their coaches. There's articles there. There's evaluations. And, of course, he'll give you a sneak peek at what's going to go on. World Juniors going forward. The mock draft, which is going to take place, of course, at the end of the year, and all that stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at Grant McCagg. He's a former scout with the Montreal Canadiens, now with recruits.ca. Thanks, Grant.
Tony, I just want to say, 238. I mean, look, we're both about that. We both weigh about 238, and I mean, we're lightning quick out there. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about Slaf's weight. I think I think he can play. You start the season at 238, but he'll lose weight as the year goes along. A lot of guys do, right? The more you play, and I bet you by mid-season he's probably 228. And I really don't think that there's going to be an issue with the skating. But let's hope I'm right.
Yeah, it seems like everyone loses weight but me. Actually, you know what? You're right, Grant. Come to think about it, I shouldn't be concerned. He'll go to 228. Unlike me, when I was 238, I ended up being 268 within 2 months. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Tony.
What a sick chat. There you have it. Grant McCagg. I'm Marinero. The sick podcast. Tell your friends about it. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. Ciao, ciao.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinero on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by 8.6, Intense by Nature, and Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you.